The first thing I did after watching the movie was calling my dad. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and Home, or #Home, is a brand new Malayalam language family film that can be watched on Amazon Prime. It was written and directed by Rojin Thomas and it stars the great Indrans as Oliver Twist, a family father who tries to reconnect to his two adult sons. The younger one Charles, played by Nelson K. Kafur, but especially the older one Anthony, played by Srinath Basi. Anthony is a young filmmaker at the beginning of his career. He had a hit film 2 years ago, but now he's stuck finishing the script for his second feature. He decides to move back home for the time being, because that was where he had the inspiration and passion for his first script. But from the moment he re-enters his home, he barely has time for anyone, least for his old father, who longs so much to spend some time with his son, or just to get acknowledged by him. It is their broken relationship, or even more so the character of the father, that is at the heart of the film, and it's Indran's beautiful performance that makes the movie work. Home is what you can call a crowd pleaser, and you can see that just by checking some of the early reactions. Right now it has a 9.1 on IMDb, which is really high, but the movie seems to have struck a chord and it's easy to see why. It's not high art and it doesn't want to be. It's comfort food, it's a feel-good movie that's very easy to digest, very easy to relate to, very easy to follow along with. Almost everyone should be able to find themselves in these characters and the family dynamic. Home isn't a film that wants to be completely realistic and grounded. It's a heightened, more simplistic presentation of everyday life. That's also why I don't think it quite fits our term of Malayalam chill. This one is more like Malayalam fluff. It's quirky, sugary, and it wants to wrap you up nice and warm for its very long runtime of more than 2.5 hours. It's a cozy and mostly unexcited movie that really takes its time. It's more driven by its characters than its very loose story, but it's easy to let yourself sink into its chill and also quite emotional atmosphere. While the characters might be rather simple stereotypes, it also helps a lot to sympathize with them and relate to their problems. And it also helps that they are brought to life by the really nice cast. I think especially people around my age can really emphasize with the restlessness and the pressure of Srinath Basi's character Anthony. He's at an important point in his life, but he's also stuck and doesn't quite know what to do. He's also very much lost or crushed by the constant noise of his phone. And this modern day reliance and addiction to our phone makes up a crucial element of the film. Therefore, also the hashtag before its title. And it even says at the very beginning that we shouldn't check our phones while watching the movie. Indran's Oliver still has an old phone, and he feels that he can't keep up with his sons and the world around him anymore. Later we learn that he had a videocassette store in the past, but wasn't able to adapt to the changing times. Home depicts a feeling that most certainly not only older generations are feeling, the feeling of constant change, and how technological change is also changing our way of communicating with each other, and the fear of not being able to catch up and to be left alone while the people around you, your family and friends, are moving on. It's really heartfelt and heartbreaking to see how much Oliver cares for his son, but how little his son is returning his affections and attention. And with that, the movie is also a very good reminder that we are probably all a bit guilty of taking our parents too much for granted. And the movie does find a relatable balance of moments when the younger son, for example, picks up on his older brother being too harsh and mean, but then in another moment being super ignorant himself, like when Oliver is washing his older son's car and instead of helping him, the younger son just points to his own scooter needing a wash as well. It also gives the movie this kind of bittersweet feeling. You really feel for Oliver, and at times it's really hard to take in how ungrateful the two sons are again and again. But they are not monsters either, and they live in their own world with their own problems. And since this is a light-hearted feel-good movie, there are also always a lot of brighter, funnier moments around the corner as well. It's not a constant laugh riot, but there are some really funny and sweet moments. For example, how Oliver is trying to take a simple photograph with his new phone, and what an overwhelming task it becomes for him. The movie's presentation is always super direct, and the constant background music is telling you exactly what you should feel. I would have preferred less, because the great performance by Indrans alone is enough to affect you, but that's just the kind of movie it is. There's even a small moment in which the melody of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was alluded to, which was a little bit irritating. The songs on the other hand I enjoyed very much. They aren't super memorable, at least after just one viewing, but again they felt like this warm and cozy blanket. So did the main location of the movie, which is this family's big house. Honestly, I was wondering a little bit how they could afford such a giant and quite luxurious place when no one in the family is having a real job right now. First I thought that it must probably be because of the hit movie of Anthony, but the place looked the same in the past when he was still writing his first script. But it's not a big deal either, it just felt a bit odd. But then again, it's a really nice and almost enchanting location and you want to spend time there. But if I really need to spend so much time there is another question. More than 2.5 hours is a really long time for this kind of story. But since I knew the length beforehand, I was prepared. And I think it plays more like an ongoing TV series anyway. On one hand, it's actually quite nice just to chill with the movie for all this time, but on the other, it really could have been streamlined a lot. I felt the relationship between Anthony and his girlfriend, played by Deepa Thomas, felt rather shallow and repetitive. It was mostly just this constant bickering. I was also a bit torn about the late introductions of some characters. In the second half, we get this slightly eccentric psychologist Dr. Franklin, played by Vijay Babu, who was also the producer of the movie. How we get there felt a bit contrived and random. But then I can't deny that I also really liked how much Oliver was gaining from the experience, and all those small and later also big moments of empowerment felt so wonderful because we really care for Indran's character. And this brings me to the ending, which I of course don't give away at this point, but there might be some mild spoilers if you really don't want to know anything. Another important element of the movie, besides the social media focus, is the question what we are making out of our life. Srinath Basi's Anthony is a filmmaker, a storyteller, and one of the reasons why he and his father drifted apart is that he thinks his father is just this ordinary man who didn't do much with his life. Anthony is much more gravitating towards the father of his girlfriend, who just finished his autobiography. Oliver is compared to this man, who seems to have accomplished so much more. And this is again something that's happening a lot. We oftentimes only see what other people have and forget to be thankful for the people closest to us. And I think we also forget that you don't have to lead an extraordinary life to lead a good life, and that it's also in the eye of the beholder what's considered a good life. But unfortunately, I think this is also something the movie forgets or brushes over a little bit, because there's this plot element that something remarkable happened in the past of Oliver. Now let me say this, when we get that final reveal, I couldn't help but feel really happy for him. After all the negligence and belittlement, he finally got the recognition and love he deserved. But I also think that he deserved it nonetheless, and that it wasn't really necessary to make it this super fateful thing. Again, it worked for me on an emotional level and it was just too lovely to see Indran smile the way he did. But it also felt like a cop-out. Instead of really addressing their emotions, this twist in a way, which of course fits the name of our character, Oliver Twist, this twist kind of saves the day and makes Oliver be worthy in the eyes of his son, which I think is not the best message. I mean, you could say that even an ordinary man can do something truly extraordinary, but for me, raising this family and giving all this love is more than enough. But in the end, I also can't fault the movie too much. It's a fluffy, feel-good movie and on that front it certainly delivers. It's very loose and too long, but it's also just quite heartwarming and nice, which can mostly be attributed to Indran's beautiful performance. Until now, I have only seen him in smaller roles, so it was a great experience for me to see him carry an entire movie and make me root for him all the way. So in German I'd say, Home ist keine große Kinokunst, aber dennoch ein wirklich netter, leichtfüßiger und dank dem großartigen Indrans auch ziemlich sympathischer und emotionaler Feel-Good-Film. I give Home still 7 out of 10. It's more like 6.5, but I don't do that.
ഇത് നീ വിശ്വസിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ ഇനി പറയാൻ പോണത് നീ വിശ്വസിക്കത്തേയില്ല.
Alright, that's it. Like always, comment below and let me know what you think about Home. And also, what is your favorite film with Indrans? You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.